30 September 2020, and I'm joined by two gentlemen, one from the MDC Alliance and one from the MDCT, Mr. Prince Mdubeko Sibanda from MDC Alliance and Mr. Gaza from MDCT. How are you, gents?
I'm very well.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Okay, fantastic. So we want to quickly get into this discussion. This is going to be very interesting because both of you are here, but I want to give Mr. Sibanda a chance to speak first because the MDCT has had so much space on Gambakwe Media. Mr. Sibanda, can you tell us what is happening at Harvest House?
Thank you so much, Gambakwe. What is happening at Harvest House is that you are aware that Harvest House had been removed from the possession of the MDC Alliance after a court judgment, a court interdict was obtained by a fraction of the MDC Alliance that had hijacked the High Court, the Supreme Court judgment. I'll say it was hijacked because ordinarily that Supreme Court judgment was supposed to land at the Harvest House. But before it got to the Harvest House, it was hijacked on the doorsteps of the Supreme Court. And therefore, the MDC Alliance was ejected out of the HQ. Now, there are some members of the MDC Alliance that had followed the three leaders that had hijacked the Supreme Court judgment. And those three leaders that had done that are Honorable Senator Mwonzora, Honorable Senator Komichi, and Honorable Senator Mdzuri. Those three leaders had hijacked the Supreme Court judgment and ran away with it. So there were some followers, including youths and adults as well, that had followed. However, I think as they went on and observed what was happening, some of them then realized that they were led on a false trail. Then they decided that we need to engage with our colleagues that we left in the alliance. They engaged themselves as the youths and agreed that if we have to comply with the Supreme Court judgment, with the Supreme Court judgment, let us comply with it. How do we comply with it? We make sure that bodies of the party, organs of the party that were elected in 2014 should be constituted or should be brought to meet and resolve how to proceed with whatever has got to be done. Unlike what we have seen from the time this Supreme Court was taken, that we have seen members of parliament being recalled, we have seen councillors being recalled without any resolution of any organ of the party. We then started to see aliens being labeled as members of the standing committee that was then said to be chasing members of parliament and councillors. But if you look at it, after those youth then came together, they agreed that we need to do things and we need to do them properly. And the proper way to do those things is to say, let us call the organs of the party as it was in 2014 to come into the party office, deliberate on issues, and make decisions, including decisions to do with the extraordinary Congress, including decisions on who to recall if there is need for recalling. That's what those youth agreed on. And in my view, and I think in the view of the MDC Alliance, we think that is a noble idea. They have done very well. The so-called constitutionalists, whom I'm going to call hijackers of the Supreme Court judgment, are dragging their feet now as we speak. They don't like what was done by the youth because they know that they cannot constitute a quorum in any of the organs of the party, starting from the standing committee going down to the branch. They cannot constitute a quorum. And therefore, all the decisions that they've been making have been illegal decisions. And therefore, these boys and the girls are saying, leadership, come together. Let's use those structures which were given according to the order of the court. And then let's go and elect the person that is going to succeed Tsvangirai. They know they can't do it because they don't have the support of the structures. So basically, that is what is happening at the Harvest House.
Okay, so President Nelson Chamisa, what is his involvement in sending the youths at Harvest House? Was he involved?
Let me be very honest with you, Gamba. I don't really speak on behalf of President Chamisa, but I can assure you that what I'm going to say is the truth. The majority of the leadership of the MDC alliance, up to the National Standing Committee level, were not aware of what was happening. This was an entirely a youth assembly coming together. That's why you see that Gore today is being denied by Senator Douglas Mwonzora. But it's only yesterday that Gore was receiving letters that recommends him as the chief of security. So the idea for them really, as the youth, had nothing to do with the leadership. None of the leaders. Everyone was actually taken aback. And we are all happy that they are saying they will allow each and every one of the leaders, be it Dr. Kupe, be it Senator Mwonzora, be it Advocate Nelson Chamisa, to gain free entrance into the Harvest House. And all the honest, genuine members of the structures of 2014, not these structures that we are currently seeing, structures that are basically being written in bedrooms and people are just being catapulted from nowhere in the party, in whatever form, go to whatever a form of MDC, whether it is MDCT or MDC Alliance. Those people are strangers and aliens, and then suddenly they are catapulted, they are called, they are part and parcel of the structures that are implementing the 2014 Supreme Court judgment. How does that happen?
Okay, so Mr. Prince Mdubeko Sibanda is speaking for the MDC Alliance. And I have with me here the MDCT, Mr. Gaza, and I've got Apostle Peter Matiashe, who is a founder of the MDC with Morgan Tsvangirai. So this is everyone you have here on the screen. And I want to give Mr. Prince Mdubeko Sibanda a lot of time to speak because MDCT has had so much time to speak and people want to understand the side of the MDC Alliance. I've asked you a question on the youths and you agree with what they're doing. And you said President Nelson Chamisa was not aware when this happened. He did not send those youths.
He didn't.
Now I want to go to the issue of the court case. What has happened today? You have been given an order to leave Harvest House, or the youths have been given an order to leave Harvest House. What has happened today?
What has happened is that, you see, Gambakwe, that kind of order is supposed to be given after the applicant would have made a number of facts pertaining to the matter. Before, there should be some kind of proof beyond the prima facie evidence that this person has got, enjoys the right that they are claiming. So we realized that this interdict had a problem in that we believe that Senator Douglas Mwonzora cannot say that he got authority from an organ of the party sometime in February, March, April, I don't know, April, to litigate against those youths and other people, including Advocate Chamisa. Today, that is not true. It is then true that he did not get any authority, so he's not covered by any authority to go and stand before the court and try to represent a voluntary association. So he misrepresented to the court. Yes. So we have appealed, and the court, I think, has set a date for the hearing sometime next week.
Okay, then let's go to the reason why President Chamisa is an applicant or an appellant. What is his interest in this matter?
He was cited in the initial application. And therefore, because he was cited in the initial application, it is important that he also be heard. Because he wants to go and hear the allegations that these people are laying against him. He cannot say, I'm not coming. He has to go and hear what these people are saying about him. So he has become an interested party because he has been joined by these people who never saw him setting foot at HH.
Okay. But is President Chamisa willing to go to Congress and contest as the presidential candidate there?
He has never refused to go to the Congress. What happened, like I have indicated, Gambako, the Supreme Court judgment was hijacked midway in between the Supreme Court and the Morgan Richard Tsvangirai House, where it was supposed to be delivered. The proper thing that was supposed to happen was that the Supreme Court judgment was supposed to move from the Supreme Court and get to the Morgan Richard Tsvangirai House. When it gets there, then the organs of the party were supposed to sit down and say, gentlemen and ladies, here is a Supreme Court judgment that we have received. Now that we have received, how do we go forward together? But instead of that, three leaders hijacked it midway and then went and invited Dr. Kupe to come along. We find it to be very uncomfortable that we can have three leaders making decisions on behalf of a voluntary association that has got millions and millions of followers and members. That's unfair. That's unheard of. So,
okay,
President Chamisa has never said he doesn't want to go to the extraordinary Congress.
Right. What happens then to the MDC Alliance Party? If he goes to Congress, there is a party called MDC Alliance, which has been going to court against MDCT. Yes. What happens to that party? Is it going to be dissolved? And what happens to Vice President Tendai Biti, Washman Ngube, and Kore?
Okay, let me not really act as if I'm foretelling what is going to happen. But in my view, after extraordinary Congress, the organs of the party are the ones that make decisions. And therefore, the organs of the party will sit down and say, okay, now we have settled the MDCT issue, but we have got an outstanding issue pertaining to MDC Alliance. How do we deal with it? Surely a solution will come out. If you ask me for a proposal, I would then collapse those two organizations into one. And then don't ask me about positions of individuals. I think the cause is beyond positions of individuals. Positions can always be created for individuals, as long as at the end of the day we will achieve our unity. It doesn't make sense for us to agree to unite with Dagi that has caused so much trauma to a number of people, and then we say we are leaving our alliance partners outside. I think that would be hypocrisy of the highest order. So in my view, what will end up happening is that these organizations will collapse into one. And then people will see how they can shift each other. It's not really about individuals. It's about the collective.
Right. I want to spend a bit more time there on that point.
Yes.
Firstly, if you go to Congress, the only position being contested is the position of president at the extraordinary Congress.
Gambakwe, to be honest with you, it's not even being contested.
Yes.
To be very honest with you, it's just being contested in theory, but everyone knows who is going to win there. I mean, it's not even questionable. So to
I agree with you.
Contest, yes.
I agree with you.
There might be no contest at the end of the day. We might actually agree. Coming out of Harvest House, we go to whatever venue we are going to, knowing that this is the person that we are going to put in our position as president.
Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes, but I want to ask you another question.
Yes.
Dr. Thokozani Kupe is the acting vice president right now.
Acting president.
Which means after Congress, if she loses the presidency, she will be the vice president of the MDCT. Will President Chamisa be able and willing to work with Thokozani Kupe as vice president?
You know, Gambakwe, President Chamisa, if you know him properly, he is a person of long suffering. I want to tell you that I think it is common cause that when you walk around in the circles of the MDC, in all its formats, everyone will tell you that people were clamoring for the dismissal of Senator Douglas Mwonzora from the party. And the person that protected him up to the last point is President Chamisa. Against all odds. And the people who were clamoring for the firing of Senator Mwonzora are not just junior grassroots people, including senior members, but he resisted that. If he did that to Senator Douglas Mwonzora, why can't he do that to Dr. Khupe? What major difference really do they have in between them that you think can make them fail to work together? I don't know much, except the fact that they were people that were in an uneasy relationship first when they started to share the vice presidents, and then of course after the succession when both were aiming for the same position. But if that position that both of them were aiming for has been resolved, why couldn't they work together?
Okay, I think that would be music to the ears of your supporters. And I've got a founder member here, Apostle Peter Matiashe. He's going to be the last to speak. But I've got a comment here, which says, why don't you go for a new political party? Because President Chamisa is support.
It's very true that President Chamisa support. He's actually currently the most popular politician in this country. And that one is undoubted, is unquestionable. But you see, we are looking at these irritating things that are happening each and every day. We are being drawn out our energy into something that is not productive. Our struggle is not to fight Kupe. Our struggle is not to fight Komichi. Our struggle is not to fight Dagi. Our struggle is to fight against the system of governance that we have endured from ZANU-PF. And therefore, in my view, I don't see anything beyond that happening.
Okay, I'm going to my last question for you now.
Yes.
I had Mr. Kalipani Pugen here last week.
Yes.
And he said the churches tried to negotiate a dialogue between President Chamisa and Dr. Kupe. But President Chamisa was not interested. Is that the correct position, or was Pugen misleading us?
Let me be honest with you. That never passed through my ears. I never heard that. In fact, there are very rare, significant issues of that nature that could happen and fail to pass through my ears. I'm only one of the 10 provincial chairpersons of the party. And surely, if there are any negotiations that have to be done at national level, those negotiations will have to cascade up to me and Gaza to say, how can we accommodate each other? So certainly I would have heard about that. And therefore, you see, the problem with my my comrade Khupe is a bit, at times, is a bit excitable and becomes so excessive, but I doubt that what he was saying was the truth.
Okay, so I think we've exhausted all the questions, the key questions that I wanted us to talk about today. The key points being that the youths that are at Harvest House, they went there because they want things to be addressed. They were not sent there by President Chamisa. President Chamisa, he responded to the court order because he was a respondent in that court order. And if Congress was to be held, President Chamisa would be willing to contest, and he's going to win.
Definitely.
And definitely, when he wins,
no wonder why. Yeah, no wonder why you saw these guys coming up with fake, phantom organs of the party meetings, and then pronounce that we have expelled Chamisa from the party. Who does that? You know, there's a lot of John Bonds, you know, in the actions of these leaders, especially these who hijacked the Supreme Court judgment. You know, there's a lot of untruthfulness and lack of genuinity in them. You know, they are doing things in a way that is incorrect. Can you imagine? How do you expel a member of parliament who is maybe a National Standing Committee member? How are they expelled? Do you sit at home with your family and then decide that I'm firing Bondo from the party without following due process, and then you have got even the audacity to call yourself a constitutionalist?
Okay, so I want to finish that statement I was making, which is to say, if President Chamisa wins, he is willing to work with Dr. Kupe as his vice president, because she's not going to, if he wins at Congress, at extraordinary Congress, he still has to work with her, because she will still be vice president until the main Congress. Okay, when is the main Congress going to be? If President Chamisa was to win, what is his plan?
I haven't really talked about it with him, but one would assume the way that we operate as a political party is that if we go to the extraordinary Congress and then we've got a president, we will obviously come back as organs of the party to say, let's try to sanitize whatever had happened in the party and then see to it how we can see this organization properly moving. I'm quite sure that it is at that stage that we can begin to see plans being laid out to say we are going to have a general congress on such a date. We cannot preempt them now because no one really has come up with that as yet, because I think we still have got a long way. We are still waiting for that court case. I'm sure after that court case, then the leadership will follow what the youth are saying to convene the organs of the party and come up with a decision. Then we start moving forward. Then we can start now to think about all the other things that are going to happen.
Right. Mr. Prince Mdubeko Sibanda, I'm so happy that you came to talk to us today. Let me tell you what has happened. I've been trying to get an MDC Alliance representative to come here to explain. And it has been very, very difficult for us to get anyone to come and talk to us. Today, I managed to... Sorry, sir, you can go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to say you don't know the level of pressure that we have been facing as a party. The pressure has been just too much, especially where you then begin to perceive as if your former friends, people that you used to walk around, are then being aided by state institutions to hammer you. So the pressure was just too much. I think you forgive our leadership that failed to come and appear before your program.
Yes, and I want to address that. I think in the whole of Zimbabwe, there's no one who campaigned as hard for Nelson Chamisa as myself. And there's no one who loves Nelson Chamisa more than myself. I follow everything that Nelson Chamisa is doing because I know that he's part of the solution for Zimbabwe. And I know that the 1,000 people who are watching right now, they are aware that you cannot do anything in Zimbabwe without Chamisa.
True.
Right. So I think we've covered that part. And I want to go to Apostle Peter Matiashe. I don't know if you want to stay, Mr. Sibanda, or you want to leave. It's up to you. Is there anything you want to say before we go to Mr. Matiashe?
No, there's nothing that I would want to say. I think I would love to listen to hear the contributions of the other colleagues.
Okay, fantastic. So I will put you in the background when he's talking. Yes. So Mr. Matiashe is a founder member of the MDC. And he wants to contribute. He's been asking me if he can contribute. How are you, Apostle?
I'm okay, Mr. Gambako. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I don't think we can hear you. Your volume is very low.
And who is the other one?
I'm sorry, we cannot hear you. Yes, it's very, very low.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, please make your contribution very quickly because your volume is very, very low. Yes.
Okay, I have a few concerns that I want to talk about in regard to all these squabbles that are going on. And as one of the people who were there in the beginning, you know, I feel so touched by what is happening because this, to me, it was an opportunity for the MDC to be combated. You understand? Because I want you to understand one thing here. If Kupe, with his one vote, goes away, it's an advantage to Mnangagwa. You understand that? ZANU-PF, they are in this game of dividing, and now they'll be using Kupe as a what? As a person who comes to confirm whatever they've done, whether they stole an election or they don't steal an election. So the Supreme Court judgment, the way I see it, it came with an open hand, presenting an opportunity for you guys to unite. It's very unfortunate because when I started seeing people being, being fired from the party, I'm wondering, these guys, do they know what ZANU-PF is doing? Which maybe it confirms the fact that there is a lot of infiltration in MDC, because I know surely the infiltration is there. I've worked with a lot of cadres from MDC who, after an election, they will change the shirt that they are putting on outside, and inside there was a ZANU-PF shirt. You understand? And they are already going to celebrate with their ZANU-PF members. This is what I think is actually a problem on the side of MDC, because if you have that division.
So, Apostle, I cannot hear you. So what I suggest is, let me bring you tomorrow.
Can you hear me?
By yourself. Yeah. No, I cannot hear you clearly. So let me bring you by yourself tomorrow, because obviously people cannot hear you clearly. So we'll bring you tomorrow, and you can have a session by yourself. I'm very sorry about the break. Okay. Right. So, Mr. Sibanda, I'm very sorry we could not hear him clearly.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the volume.
Yeah, he's been waiting a long time to speak. So what I suggest is, we have said a lot today. Let's give people a chance to digest.
Yes.
I talked to Mr. Kalipani Pugen. I wanted to bring him here today. And he said he is a national spokesman. And he can only speak to someone at that level. So he obviously would like to speak to one of your...
You see what, Gabak? That's the problem of self-inflation that Pugen has. I don't know what the term Pugen means, but you see, when you hear the sound of the name, I think it portrays the man himself. Pugen was only smuggled into the MDC National Executive, I think around 2014, 2015, thereabouts. You understand?
Yes.
He has got no political base. He cannot even win a position of a councillor. He stood in Bulawayo under MDCT last year, 2018 elections, and then he lost. He has got no political backing. You know, in politics, for you to call yourself a person with weight, it's about the constituents that you have, a following that you have. Pugen now is part and parcel of the scheme of treachery that happened after the Supreme Court judgment was hijacked. He deserves no position in the National Standing Committee. He deserves no position, not at all. I'm sure even if he goes to his province, he cannot get a position. Possibly goes down up to constituency level. That's where maybe he can get a position as a spokesperson or something of that sort. You know? So unfortunately, the guy takes himself so high for nothing. He doesn't have the value that he claims to have. Look at this. The Supreme Court judgment did not say go and formulate structures of 2014. It said go back to the structures of 2014. Pugen in 2014 was nothing in the MDC. So he cannot come here and demand that there is someone who is senior than me who can engage him. Actually, for me, it's humiliating to engage Pugen if he wants to survive, even after the negotiations. If he wants to survive, at least he have somewhere where he's hanging. He has to hang on the skirts of Dr. Kupe, because Dr. Kupe has got political capital. Pugen has got nothing. So I feel quite offended, and let that message be passed to him. He is a political non-entity. He has got no value in politics that I have. I have political capital. Gamba.
Okay, I agree with you. You are the national, you are the provincial chairperson for Matno.
Yes, true that.
And you've been in the MDC since its formation.
No, since I joined in 2004.
Okay.
Yes.
So
one thing which sorry.
Yes. I'm saying one thing which I find very interesting is all of you guys.
Yes. Yeah.
You've been in MDC together for so long, and this is why people are confused. Why you can't work together? It's so confusing.
You see, Pugen is a stranger. Dr. Kupe, I can talk to you. We have got a history, and just a few days ago, I had a call to Dr. Kupe, and I was reminding him of things that happened around 2013, activities that we were doing in the province of Matabeleland. So we have got a history. There's no way we can fail to work together under whatever circumstances. Abednego baby, you can't take away anything from him, but not these pretenders who come here on the platform and then call people that have built this struggle and call them imposters. Pugen has got no history. His appointment when he was in South Africa, his appointment to the National Executive, generated a lot of disharmony. It was only after the respect of Dr. Kupe that members of the party grudgingly accepted him to be part of the national executive. What political weight does he have?
Okay, let's say Pugen has got no political weight. What about Secretary General Douglas Mwonzora? What is the plan for him? It seems that it's not possible for MDC Alliance people to work with Douglas Mwonzora.
I'm not sure who said it is not possible. I haven't heard anyone saying that it is not possible to work with Senator Douglas Mwonzora. We have worked with Senator Douglas Mwonzora for some time. Personally, I think he understands me. And he understood more, I think, in 2014. 2014, towards the at the provincial congresses, I was then the secretary for the province of Matabeleland. He approached me, saying, "Can your province assist me to attain the position of Secretary General?" And I was very open to him and honest that my province is going to go with Nelson Chamisa. Why? Because I thought he could do better as a Secretary General. And that at that time, Senator Douglas Mwonzora was actually shining as a spokesperson of the party. He was doing extremely, extremely well, such that some of us had actually felt that removing him from there or allowing him to move from there would be a disservice rather than a good thing. It might have been good for him to be Secretary General, but some of us felt that it wasn't good for the party because we have to deploy our manpower according to their capabilities. So that's how we felt. So up to today, we have got mutual respect for each other, despite what despite the fact that he knows how I think about him in certain areas. So we have allowed our differences to coexist. I believe it is still possible, even now, to coexist with Senator Mwonzora. But I'm quite sure that during the process of sanitization, people will then have to be as open and as brutal as possible to each other and say such traits are not good for the growth of the party. Why don't we do things in this manner? Look at this, Gambab. Do you imagine what would have happened if Senator Mwonzora, Senator Komichi, and Senator Mudzuri had taken the Supreme Court judgment and said, guys, let's sit down at Harvest House. Here is the judgment. How do we go about it? But if you hijack, it means that you are someone who cannot be trusted. You are someone who is, I don't know how to describe it, as if he had already planned that I have to grab this thing and run away with it and take it where? Because the owners are the structures that you left there.
Right. Mr. Prince Mdubeko Sibanda, I've never heard someone articulating a position as clearly as you have done. I think everyone who's watching is very clear about what is happening. But obviously, we need to reinforce this message. And I was hoping that after the magistrate court, I think the appeal is at the High Court, right? After the appeal at the High Court, next week, Thursday, if you could grace us with your presence to explain to these 1,000 people who are watching here what is going to happen afterwards. Because you have said you want, personally, you spoke on your own behalf as a proposal that you would prefer that the two parties collapse into one and people negotiate instead of worrying too much about positions.
Exactly.
So let's talk again on Thursday next week. And I know Mr. Gaza wants to say one or two things. Mr. Gaza, is there something you want to say before we close?
Well, maybe the first thing is that Mdubeko owes me some cows. But other than that, I think there is something that is a bit gray or that needs to be straightened where the honorable member, Honorable P.D. Sibanda, has been very articulate. But for him to say a faction of the alliance in the beginning of the conversation, I think it's a bit misplaced, and it may be misleading to an ordinary person to say a faction of the alliance, probably referring to the in bold, in capital letters, the MTCT led by Dr. Thokozani Kupe. I think that needs to be straightened. But I would also want to comment on the part where the youths have, let me say, reneged. I would use that term. And decided to go to the Harvest House, and it is alleged that their president who is Nelson Chamisa, is not aware. And my question, or the question that is in everyone's mind is, so which part of the MTC which part of the MTC constitution talks of the youths marching into an office and making decisions? The honorable member has been very clear about the decision-making organs of the party, and here is a group of youths ransacking the party offices, and the alliance president is said to be not aware, and everyone else who is in the alliance leadership is said to be not aware. Clearly, that tells the degree of violence that is degenerated in the alliance, because I don't understand how youths of a group, a faction, or a party can do that, and the leadership says they are unaware. I'm sure it is also another way of saying there is a leadership vacuum there, and then one wonders to say, why are we still going in circles if we all understand the Supreme Court ruling the way Honorable P.T. Sibanda understands it, and the way he understands it is the way it is. So I don't think the leadership of that faction of the alliance has actually understood or embraced the SC ruling. If they had, then we wouldn't be having some youths making decisions outside the knowledge of the authorities, and they're getting into that office. What for? So, and also the Honorable P.T. made it clear that he is not going to speak on behalf of his president, Chamisa. He's speaking his mind, his opinion, and his interpretation of the events of the SC ruling, which I'm also in agreement with. But then to say Chamisa will attend or will participate or is willing to participate in the EOC, I think again it also contradicts the fact that he is only speaking on his behalf, and is also speaking probably on behalf of interpreting his understanding of the outcome of the Supreme Court ruling. Why I'm saying so, he was clear that he's not speaking on behalf of Nelson Chamisa, who has not clearly and cleanly come up openly to say he's embracing the Supreme Court ruling. I think we all know that we can quote the newspapers, we can quote him on national television from the onset when that ruling came out. Unless that position has changed, he did not embrace it, and if he has not said it, and it can't be coming from Honorable P.T. because Honorable P.T. was clear that he's not representing, or he's not the spokesman of him at the moment. So also I need to clarify this from an MTCT point of view, to say the three I quote Honorable P.T. Sibanda. He says the three hijacked, which I'm not going to comment on that. I wouldn't know, but to say then they invited Kupe, it's neither. It's not that's inaccurate, because you cannot be invited at your own house. You cannot be invited in your own home. We all know that acting President Kupe has never changed political parties. She has remained with MTCT, And when these guys went with the alliance, and my assumption is that they have come back. I wouldn't say they have hijacked. I wouldn't know that. I don't know for a fact. But what I know is they've come back. But to say they've invited Kupe, it's inaccurate. There's no way they would invite Kupe. If anything, she would probably invite them. But in this case, my understanding is they decided to rejoin. So I just wanted to clarify those. But otherwise, having said that, I think it's clear. And my personal and honest opinion is that what Honorable PT has been saying is the way forward. Carries a lot of water, carries a lot of weight, but only if the authorities, in this case Nelson Chamisa, is sharing the same sentiments, which he has not publicly done that. He has only maintained the other side of the coin to say he's not embracing. I think, having said that, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we all have to be genuine. We all have to be consistent, like President Dr. Kupe has been. She has been very consistent with this party, and she has been very consistent with their decisions. Hence, I'm saying, to say she was invited is incorrect and inaccurate.
Okay, so gentlemen, I am so happy that you say there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Gabak, I wanted to just respond to this gentleman here.
Yes.
You see, we are not strangers to each other. I and Gaza. We are not strangers to each other. We know each other. We've got a history. I started my political career in Victoria Falls. In 2004, 2005, when the party had its first split, I became the secretary of the district of Victoria Falls. Then I rose through the ranks, went into the province, until now I became the provincial chairman. So I know him. He's not someone I don't know. For starters, I was actually surprised to see him agreeing to come on this platform to represent the MDCT. And I want to be very honest. And therefore, some of the things that he is raising here are issues that really speak to who he is. And he knows that I have tried very recently to assist him to build a political career. He has not been in politics. He has been doing other things like football and, of course, other things, other activities. He hasn't been in politics. He just came into politics when Dr. Kupe's MDCT in 2018 was looking for candidates for member of parliament. And therefore, he volunteered. He became there. So there is really there's nothing much that Gaza can say about things that he's talking about. He is another Pugian. For example, he says that the youths went into that place with the knowledge of the leadership. Which leadership? Because Gore Kore had gone with Dagi, so he was with Dr. Kupe. So maybe Dr. Kupe, Douglas Mwonzora are the ones that sent Gore Kore to say no, go and say that nobody else comes in here except genuine structures of 2014. Because that's where Gore Kore had gone. Okay? Now, he says, I'm not speaking on behalf of President Chamisa. I think, again, that's a major, major problem in politics. For me, Gambako, let me tell you, one reason why I think I'm a very stable and possibly successful politician is because I agree to be mentored. I want to see those that are ahead of me have achieved. If Gaza doesn't understand my political weight in the MDC alliance, then indeed he hasn't dipped his feet into politics. He doesn't understand politics.
Okay, Mr. Sibanda.
Yes.
Mr. Sibanda, I want to stop you there. And I want to say I am surprised that I haven't seen you more in public. I think everyone who is listening to you now is asking themselves, where has this man been?
I'm shy. I'm an introvert. I usually keep to myself most of the time. I rarely meet. But the third thing that he says, that it is not correct for me to say the three invited Dr. Kupe. Look, guys, I have said it, and I have said it clearly. That judgment was not meant for any other destination other than Morgan Richard Tsvangirai House. It never arrived. It only arrived after there were some other court orders evicting the MDC Alliance from there. Never did anyone bring that judgment to the leadership of the MDC Alliance to say, guys, this is what is there. Let's sit down. How do we? There were conmen that ran away with it. So Gaza doesn't understand all those dynamics. You see?
Okay. So I think we need to bring this to an end.
Thank you.
I think all is well that ends well, because I have a feeling that the differences that we have as people who support our leaders, I think Dr. Kupe and President Chamisa, they are very minor. And I've got, obviously, I'm not the one to speak for MDCT or MDC Alliance, but I think you guys, people love you. Whoever loves their side, they love you with all their hearts, and they'll be very happy to see you working things out. So I want to bring this to an end because I've got another guest in 2 minutes.
It's okay.
So 1 quick minute each, so that we can wrap up. Starting with you, Mr. Swan.
For me, I think to speak at national level, my hope is that after Honorable Senator Mwonzora loses the application, the appeal next week, I think let us all be humble enough to say whoever in terms of the Constitution is entitled to convene organs of the party, starting with the president, acting president, inviting the National Standing Committee of 2014, not the bogus one that is going to now. No, the 2014 one, let them convene it, and everyone without discrimination who was there in that organ in 2014 goes to that meeting. National Council, National Executive, and then let decisions be made from there. Then we move on. Then going to a lower level to my Baba Zala here. Baba Zala, if you want politics, don't be a chancer. Be principled, and you will succeed. I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. And I hope that you'll be able to join us next week after the court ruling. I really want us to know the way forward. And as I said, again, would like to talk to someone in the senior level.
The most senior
if you can invite them, please.
There's no one that I can invite to come and talk to Pugin. I'll go and invite someone from the district. That's his level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let's have the last word from Mr. Gaza.
Okay, thank you very much. I think all having been said and done, the most important thing is we are all in agreement that the Supreme Court ruling stands, and we all have to abide by the Supreme Court ruling. We all have to agree also that let the relevant organs make the decisions. We cannot have a group of so-called youths going into an office to make decisions that are said to be not known by the leadership, any leadership. Neither should we have any wing going there as a wing to make demands from who. We can only do things right if we all do the right things. And we cannot look beyond ourselves. We need everyone else to be where they belong, and the right people make the correct decisions. In this case, the youths, we cannot send the youths up there to make decisions for us. If the decision makers have decided to run by the Supreme Court ruling, they should come out in the open and say so. And I'm sure they will be embraced by everyone concerned, because everyone is concerned at the end of the day. But we cannot, I insist, we cannot have a group of youngsters being sacrificed to go out there and make demands. That cannot be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gaza.
That is very an MDC, Gambakwe, for someone to say that youths cannot make decisions. We are not ZANU-PF. MDC is a party of equal opportunities, and therefore we allow decision making by any of our assemblies. So I find that to be quite an MDC.
Okay, so Mr. Sibanda, you know what? I like where this conversation is going, and I want to end it on a good note. So next week, I'm going to invite yourself, and Pugen was trying to call me now, but it was a bit late for me to add him. So next week, he'll be here to answer for himself what he just said about.
I'm sure he felt it inside. Yeah.
Yeah. So for everyone who's watching, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to Mr. Mdubeko Sibanda, and I wonder why you're not the MDC Alliance spokesman. I want to ask that question again next week, because you speak so articulately, and as you told me, you've been in the party since 2004. So I really wonder why you are not speaking for the party, even at a national level. So
like you said, I'll answer it next week.
Yes, I think let's end it here. I've got another guest coming. They're already waiting in the foyer, and I really appreciate what you've done by coming here to talk to us. Everyone who's watching, thank you very much. Please like, comment, and share this post, and follow Mr. Mdubeko Sibanda and Mr. Gaza on their social media platforms. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you, Mr. Gaza.
Thank you.
Good night.